Some of the oldest paintings ever discovered are considered to be around 40,000 years old. For this reason, it's obvious that paintings have been one of the longest lasting, most timeless forms of artistic expression. It's also been proven that the colors and images on certain paintings can have an effect on a person's psychological state. So with all this in mind, it's not surprising that some paintings have had some strange effects on either the people who own it or even just the people who view it. It may be for this reason that numerous amounts of people have actually claimed that certain paintings are haunted. So that's what we're going to be having a look at today. So here are 8 terrifying paintings that are said to be cursed. Number 1 is Pogo the Clown. This is actually a self-portrait done by John Wayne Gacy, who was an American serial killer responsible for the death of 33 people. He is known as the Killer Clown because he used to dress up like one and entertain people at various events. He would call this character Pogo the Clown. He has a number of strange and creepy paintings to his name, but this one definitely has the most notoriety. The painting was bought by Nicky Stone in 2001, but soon after he bought it, Nicky was plagued with bad luck. This ranged from his dog dying to his mother being diagnosed with cancer. He decided to give it to a friend, but the bad luck continued when that person's neighbor and close friend died shortly after. Finally, they passed it on to somebody else they knew, and that person attempted suicide whilst in possession of the painting. Now this of course could all just be coincidental, but it seems like anyone who gets their hands on this painting ends up quickly discarding it. Actor Johnny Depp actually had a copy of this piece, and he also got rid of it because he claimed that no one wanted anything to do with it. Number 2 is a portrait of Lady Ossington. Lady Ossington from Britain was the daughter of William Bentinck, who was the 4th Duke of Portland in the 1800s. She was also married to John Denison, who was a successful British statesman. She was a woman who had quite a few titles to her name, and she was quite powerful in the world of British politics. She was also a respected figure in her community, but years after her death, reports began to surface that a painting of her was in some way, shape or form cursed. Lady Ossington had actually built her own coffee place in 1882. The general goal was to create a place where travelers could sleep without being tempted to purchase alcohol. Well, after she died, the business was run by several different owners, but it was eventually sold, and ironically, it was converted into a bar. In 2011, the BBC reported that the owners experienced some strange occurrences with the painting since the conversion. It would reportedly fly off the wall repeatedly, and people began saying that the painting now gave off a much stranger, darker vibe. It was eventually sold to a museum, and oddly enough, there have been no reports of anything strange occurring since. People took this as a sign that Lady Ossington's spirit was now at ease because she had been moved away from the bar. Number 3 is The Hands Resist Him. Created in 1972 by artist Bill Stoneham, The Hands Resist Him was a reasonably successful piece when it first came out, and was even owned by actor John Marty. After he passed away, the painting's whereabouts were unclear, and there are several different reports as to what happened to the piece, but what is known is that the painting resurfaced on eBay in the year 2000, and from there, it spread like wildfire. Apparently, it had been posted by an elderly Canadian couple who found it at a brewery, but wanted to now get rid of it because it carried some kind of a curse. They claimed that the shadows in the background would move at times, and that the boy in the image would shift around the picture, seemingly trying to escape from the girl, who apparently was holding him at gunpoint. People who viewed the painting began reporting that the piece had made them feel uneasy, and at times even sick. The story blew up, and the listing was viewed over 30,000 times. After 30 bids, the painting was sold for over $1,000. The new owner contacted Bill Stoneham and inquired about the painting's backstory. He was surprised to hear about what had happened to the painting, and even more surprised to hear about the effects it was having on people. However, Bill did go on to state that the owner of the gallery it was showed at, and a critic who reviewed the piece, died within a year of coming into contact with the painting. Whether or not these events had anything to do with the painting is obviously unknown, but what is a fact is that this eBay listing made the painting into a huge topic of discussion on the internet. The piece blew up and is now known by millions of people, so much so that Bill Stoneham actually went on to make 2 well-received sequels. Number 4 is The Painting of a Headless Man. In 1994, photographer James Kidd put one of his photos on display in Arizona. It caught the interest of Laura, who is an accomplished painter. She noticed that there appeared to be a headless man in the background of the image. Kidd explained that this was not noticed until after he developed the photo, and even after getting it analyzed by professionals, it seemed that the photo had not been doctored in any way. This intrigued Laura, so she asked if she could make an oil painting of the photo. Kidd gave her permission and Laura began her project, but while she was painting it, some strange things began to occur. After she had finished it, she put it in her office, but her co-workers asked her to take it out of the building 3 days later because it was apparently unsettling and they deemed it to be a bad luck charm. After taking it into her new home, she began to notice a lot of strange things happen. Even though her house was brand new, there would be leaks, gates breaking randomly, and objects would fall and break for seemingly no reason. This isn't that strange, and there could be any number of reasons as to why these things happened, but there was a certain event that was much harder to explain. One night, Laura and her husband very clearly heard a knock on their door. Their dogs did not react, and when they checked outside, there was nobody there. Laura states that she does not believe in ghosts, but she does regret painting this piece as it has seemingly brought nothing but bad luck. Number 5 is Untitled by Yuko Tatsushima. Yuko Tatsushima is a Japanese artist that often creates surreal drawings that are known for being both dark and eerie. While she has dozens of paintings credited to her name, one piece in particular has blown up on the internet because of the effect it apparently has on some of the people who view it. The painting is a portrait of a deranged-looking girl who has wide eyes and an abnormally large neck. It was said that the image had strange effects on its viewers, with some saying that it made them feel uneasy and others saying that it made them feel sick to their stomach. One of the biggest claims that goes with this painting, however, is the theory that it can induce suicidal feelings onto those who view it. This is more than likely just an urban legend, as it doesn't seem like there has been any suicides linked directly to this painting, but that is obviously not an easy thing to determine. The strange effects it seems to have on certain people is much harder to debunk, as its dark image may very well have had a negative effect on people's psychological state. Either way, this painting helped Yuko Tatsushima gain a larger audience in the Western world, and this piece was recreated several times. Also, if you decide to look up the rest of her work, you're in for a treat. Number 6 is the Delphine LaLaurie portrait. Delphine LaLaurie was a highly respected, wealthy socialite from New Orleans in the early 1800s. However, while she spent a substantial amount of time trying to portray herself as a kind, caring woman, she was anything but. In 1834, a fire broke out in her mansion and some bystanders outside rushed into the building and attempted to get access into the slave quarters to ensure that everyone had evacuated. The LaLaurie family members refused to give these bystanders the key, so they broke down the doors. This is where they found 7 slaves who had been horribly tortured and were essentially on the verge of death because of Delphine LaLaurie's extreme punishment. Ironically, she was actually an advocate for American slaves to have better treatment and less punishment, but it was merely a ploy to hide her actions. As more stories surfaced about Delphine, it was revealed that she had been directly responsible for the death of 4 people, and it was likely that dozens of slaves died under her care, most likely because of the horrible conditions they were forced to endure. Her nice, caring image was completely shattered, and she quickly joined the list of the most evil people in American history. So it's not surprising that her portrait was also considered to have some kind of an evil force behind it. This actually didn't happen until 1997, when a portrait was commissioned and placed into the building that was once Delphine's mansion. Immediately, reports began to spawn of people having strange experiences in the building, from feeling a strange pressure to thinking they were being scratched. It seemed as if the vibe and energy had completely changed once that painting had entered the building. The old mansion had a disturbing, dark history, and it really isn't that surprising that her portrait is now considered to be one of the most haunted paintings in America. Number 7 is The Crying Boy. Arguably one of the most popular paintings that is said to be cursed, The Crying Boy is a piece created by Italian artist Giovanni Bragolin that began being distributed in the 1950s. The painting is simplistic in nature and simply features a detailed drawing of a boy shedding tears. While the image obviously has some dark undertones, you wouldn't think that it would cause that much controversy, but that is far from the case. In 1985, a British newspaper known as The Sun reported that a firefighter had consistently seen this painting in the burned down houses he was sent to. The paintings were almost always completely unaffected by the flames. A backstory began to emerge that the painting was of a boy who accidentally set fire to his house, leading to the death of his parents, and now these fires supposedly followed wherever the boy was. This backstory hasn't been confirmed and is considered to be more of an urban legend than a legitimate reason for these fires, but what has been confirmed is that the painting is actually very difficult to burn. The BBC actually tested this and attempted to light it on fire but failed in doing so. This is because these paintings possess a varnish which essentially repels fire and prevents it from fully burning. Although this is a solid explanation as to why these paintings were never destroyed in these burned down houses, it didn't explain why so many fires were happening in houses that had the crying boy painting inside of them. So for this reason, it's not surprising that many homeowners who owned this painting quickly got rid of it, just in case the curse was actually real. And number 8 is the Anguished Man. In June of 2010, a man named Sean Robinson posted a video onto YouTube where he claimed that he was in possession of a cursed painting known as the Anguished Man. Robinson stated that the painting was given to him by his grandmother and that the artist had actually mixed in his own blood into the painting and then committed suicide after finishing it. He also claimed that ever since he brought this painting into his home, a number of strange things began to occur, from seeing shadowy figures of a man to hearing screams and cries inside the house. Obviously, a lot of people believed that this was fake as Sean hadn't provided any evidence to these claims, so he made a follow-up video where he put a camera near the painting for 3 days, and in this time, a number of strange things happened. A nearby door would randomly open and close, and the sounds of scratches and bangs could be heard from time to time. This video was much more successful than the first, getting over 1.5 million views to its name. The Anguished Man became a well-known painting on the internet because of the success of this video, and people began to report that the painting had a strange effect on them. This ranged from feeling nauseous to having full-blown nosebleeds after viewing the painting. The piece is obviously very dark, so the idea that it had a negative mental effect on its viewers is not that far-fetched. As for the rest of the story, people are understandably skeptical, but most people remain open-minded and are anxious to find out if there are any developments to be made when it comes to the Anguished Man. And that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, don't forget to hit that like button. All of the sources, music, and footage that I used will be linked in the description down below. If you want to see similar videos to this in the future, please consider subscribing. But like I said, that's all for now. As always, until next time.